The idea for this video was suggested to me by Baron Rogoff. So this is actually proof that I do listen to viewer suggestions sometimes. Thanks for the suggestion, Baron. To be honest, I always thought the Grim Reaper was more of a fictional character. Maybe it's because I grew up watching Bill and Ted and reading the Discworld novels. I never really considered where the image of the Grim Reaper came from or whether it could be based on a real entity. For this video, I will be looking at photographic evidence and reading some personal accounts from people who have encountered the entity known as Death. According to Britannica.com, the Grim Reaper first appeared during the 14th century, around the time of the Black Death. It doesn't really give us any ideas as to its origin. Was the Grim Reaper a fiction invented by someone who wanted to personify the horrors of the plague? Or was it a real entity encountered by people who are surrounded by the dying? Wikipedia tells us that almost every religion and culture throughout history has had a death entity. This isn't surprising, considering how important life and death is to all people, but what is interesting is how similar a lot of these entities are in appearance. It's commonly thought that meeting the Grim Reaper means certain death, but in a lot of cases it seems like the Reaper serves more as a warning of impending death, something that can cause people to avoid disaster if they recognise the signs early enough. He also seems to appear at sites of miraculous survivals. Terrible accidents where the victim should have died but escaped with their lives amazingly. The idea that death can be bargained with may be more true than we think. So let's look at some of the evidence. Not everything here is going to convince you. Some may simply be intriguing optical illusions, some may just be the work of pranksters, but I've included them here because they're interesting and creepy. I'll let you make up your own mind about them. This picture was taken at Wiedenbeck Cemetery in Daventry, England. The photographer is Dean Johnson. He had visited the cemetery to attempt to disprove the existence of ghosts. The skeptic was shocked to see this hooded figure hovering over one of the graves when he reviewed the images. So far he's been unable to explain what it is in the picture. Could it be a picture of Death himself? This picture was taken by a woman named Kirsty Clinch and it was posted to Snapchat. She was trying to take a photo of the fish and chip shop, but she also captured this sinister hooded figure lurking in the alleyway. It looks very much like the traditional image of the Grim Reaper. What makes this picture even creepier is that I found the chip shop on Google Maps. It's in Warminster in Wiltshire, and right next door is a funeral parlour. Its wall makes up the other side of the alleyway where the Grim Reaper has been spotted. The following story was posted to yourghoststories.com by Brooke. In the summer of 1996, I was sharing an apartment in Huntington, West Virginia. My roommate and I were having similar experiences, but didn't discuss it to each other until I had one of the scariest moments of my life supernaturally. What led up to my experience was on different occasions, my roommate and I were having something tapping our feet while we slept. I was sleeping on the couch downstairs one night after falling asleep watching a late night movie. At the end of the couch where my feet were, I kept feeling a thud, like something was hitting the end of the couch where my feet were. This happened a few times on different late nights. Later, my roommate confided that she had had something smack her bare feet at night while she was asleep. One evening, arriving home after work at the local pawn shop where I was a secretary, I walked into the apartment and no one was home. So I walked through the kitchen where the answering machine was located to check the messages. Something in the apartment felt off to me, like something in the room felt weird. It was like someone was there, even though no one was physically there. I can't really put it into words. I checked the machine and had my back turned. All of a sudden, something or someone tapped me very hard 3 times on my right shoulder. Frightened, I didn't dare to turn around. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw what looked like a long bony finger with 3 raised bony knuckles. The apparition was kind of cartoonish in that it was blue and green, but real bright. I stood still and didn't really know what to do. Then I heard a voice that haunts me to this day. "Nobody's home," it said, in a deep, guttural, angry tone. Calmly, but with the hair on the back of my neck standing up, I walked through the living room and went upstairs to the bedroom and locked the door. About an hour later, my roommate arrived home. I called down to her in a frightened yet excited voice and told her what had happened. Being the accepting, ghostly kind of person she is, she believed me and we recounted our feet experiences that evening. To this day, I think about what happened to me and it scares me to death. It never bothered me again, and I try not to think about it too much to give it the energy to come back for another visit. Whatever it was, it seemed large and very tall. I felt it was about 7 feet tall, standing behind me and black. It was almost like a Grim Reaper type of thing, and it felt very evil. The next photo was taken by 2 British men on holiday in Abu Dhabi. The Grim Reaper appears to float in the window of a moving coach, keeping pace with them. They insist that the photo was not doctored in any way, but they are unsure who the cloaked man in the window may be. As far as I can tell, both men survived their trip, so perhaps they narrowly avoided a disaster without even realising it. I see this image posted a lot, but it's hard to find any solid information about it. According to one website, the image was taken at the Grand Canyon sometime in the 70s or 80s. The photographer and the man in the picture were apparently there for around 15 minutes and didn't see anyone else there at the time. Only upon developing the photos did they spot the cloaked figure emerging from the trees and looking directly at the cameraman. Maybe someone was meant to fall off the cliff that day. Given how close the guy is standing to the edge in the icy weather, this could be a picture of the Grim Reaper waiting for his moment. This story was posted to Reddit's paranormal forum by Vault32. When I was very young, my mum was a dog breeder of Cocker Spaniels. It was the summer between kindergarten and first grade. One of the Cockers had just had puppies. She was notoriously a very high-strung dog who was a horrible mother. I'm not sure if she would smother or carelessly injure or ignore her pups, but for some reason the pups were kept away from her after they fed, and they were put in a laundry basket with a heating pad on low and a towel for the night. Being a kid, and they being puppies, I begged my mum to put the basket in my room that night. The basket of pups was placed in front of my door to hold it open with a nightlight nearby. As a kid I needed a nightlight, and I also had to have my door open. All that done, I fell asleep to the whimpers of newborn pups and the sound of the pump in my fish tank. Nothing was out of the ordinary at the time. At some point I awoke in the middle of the night to the sound of frantic squeals and cries from the puppies, but they sounded tinny and distant, like in a tunnel or across a warehouse from me. Even my fish tank sounded off, like my ears were blocked by sinus pressure. I rolled over to check on them or go get my mom, but there was something crouched near the basket. At first I thought it was my mum, and I even called to her. It was dark, hunched over, squatting near the basket. What I thought was my mum's nightgown was just a black garment draped over it. The thing's back was to me. The nightlight didn't even illuminate it. If anything, it was smoky and translucent, like ink in water. When I spoke to it, it turned around towards my bed, and I saw a skull in the black shape where its head should be. Sometimes my memory is that it had red dot eyes. Sometimes I remember them empty and black, but I knew it looked right at me. I swear its jaw snapped open, maybe surprised that I saw it, or to scare me. I screamed for my mom in the room just next door. It sounded like my screams went nowhere. Looking back now, I really think the whole room was in a bubble of time or sound, so that this thing could do whatever it was doing. The thing pulled back from the basket and spun round, this skull in a cloak, like it was on all fours. But I didn't see hands on the ground, and it started coming towards me, working its jaw. I remember it grinning. I remember it hanging open. It skittered across the 10 or 12 feet from the door to my bedside. I hid under my blanket. That's all I remember. I guess I passed out. When I woke up, I ran straight to my mom and told her everything, furious as to why she didn't save me. She said she didn't hear a peep, apologised and tried to calm me. I drew a picture of the cloaked skull sitting beside the basket to describe what I saw. At this point in my life, I had never seen Reaper iconography. I had no idea what I was drawing. I knew what a skull was, but that was the extent of my death knowledge. She kept the drawing in a jewellery box and later a Bible. It's since been long lost. Flash forward years later, I'm probably 10 and I see my first depiction of the classic Grim Reaper in art on the cover of an old Hitchcock short story paperback. It blows my mind. Besides the scythe, it's the closest thing to what I saw. I go back to Mom, flabbergasted to again show her what I saw. At this point, she thinks I'm old enough to be told. 3 puppies had died that night, and she removed them before I woke up. But that was in the sunny morning, not the dark night. She admits she believes I saw something, and she has no explanation for what it was, and that there are things that we just don't understand. So now I'm an adult, and I've been pretty skull and death obsessed ever since. I still believe in the paranormal, and I've had no other encounters. There was even a period around 10 or 12 where I talked to the darkness of my room, trying to bring it back so I could ask it questions. It never returned. This grainy photo was captured by the Panther Creek Paranormal Investigators, a team of ghost hunters from Missouri. They claim they were called to a residential home after the owner reported strange events in their house. Investigator Robert McCall captured a growling noise on his EVP recorder, and at the same time he saw a dark shadow in an empty hallway. He started to take pictures of the area and captured what looks very much like Death himself. Nobody is quite sure who or what the figure is. The photo is very grainy and hard to make out. Whatever it is, it's certainly extremely creepy. This Grim Reaper image is almost certainly an optical illusion. Nevertheless, it's an amazing coincidence, and I had to show it. What you're looking at here is the aftermath of a horrific crash involving a pickup truck and 2 articulated lorries. The man in the photo is Caleb Whitby. His pickup truck was crushed between the 2 larger vehicles. Incredibly, he survived the crash with only minor injuries, but next to him is what appears to be a hooded figure with a very skeletal face. The effect is caused by the crumpled truck's body and scratches in the paintwork. The Reaper is still visible in this later photo, after Caleb was removed from the vehicle. Once again, although it is just an illusion, it's still a very compelling image. The next story comes from thoughtco.com, and it was submitted by Dale. My mother passed away February 5th, 2013, and this is a story of what happened. My mother had always been sick for the last 10 years, in and out of hospital. She was suffering from kidney issues, which led to her having issues like congestive heart failure. The house we lived in had always been haunted, but there had been numerous problems. Around 2002, when I was home visiting, my brother and I were watching TV late at night. Down in our basement, a snap-lid box moved from one end of the basement to the other. We saw shadows and everything. Then suddenly for a few years it stopped. My mum's health got a bit better. Although she was on dialysis and oxygen, she was feeling better. Then 2013 came and everything started to change. At night, when she was in bed, Mum would see a person walk from the highway in a red glow until it got to her bedroom. It would come through the wall and approach the side of her bed. It had a long black hat that came down to a point and glowing red eyes. On February 2nd, my mum went to the hospital with a high heart rate and low blood pressure, telltale signs of heart failure. She came back 2 days later and was alright that evening. She had her favourite dinner and watched her programmes. My brother and I came and spent the night once more. Around 3:47 in the morning, she hollered because she saw the entity again. My brother and I went in, but nothing was there. The following morning, my brother picked her up for dialysis, but by the time they'd made it 300 feet from the house, my mother had passed away in the vehicle. They got her to the Marquette Hospital once more, where the neurologist said she had no brain function. She was gone. Now I think of the creature my brother and I saw at the local cemetery whilst driving by it one night. It was large and had tattered cloth on it. It was standing atop a freshly dug grave. Though I know what me and my brother had seen for that split second was the Grim Reaper, I can't figure out what my mother was seeing all those nights. This is another photo that I can't find much information about. I found it on some website with no information, apart from it's supposed to be the picture of a Grim Reaper. I did find one YouTube video by Iron Maiden Moncton claiming that the photo is of their 2 sons and was taken on October 2011. They claim that Death visited 2 houses on the road that very night. Whether any of this is true is unconfirmed, but the dark figure lurking in the bushes is definitely very creepy. Some people have said that this is a photo of a guardian angel, but I'm not sure. To me it looks more like the classic hooded figure of Death. The picture was taken by Sharon Boo, who was photographing the scene for the Pauling Fire Department. The driver had swerved to avoid hitting a dog and had wrecked her car. Amazingly, she escaped with only a broken arm. When the photos were developed, they were shocked to see this glowing figure standing in front of the wreckage. Could this be the spectre of death lurking near the site of yet another near-fatal accident? This story was posted by LD. It's currently archived on the folklore section of rootsweb.com. Now, I've always heard it told that if you see the Grim Reaper, that he's coming for you and you're as good as toast. Well, I'm one who lived to tell about it, and here's the story. Me, my sister and a boyfriend were getting kinda antsy one Sunday after church, so we decided to load up and run into town to get something to eat. Well, we live about 30 minutes from town, but we made it there and chowed down and were on our way back. We were about halfway there when we passed the Friendship Cemetery. Now, I don't know what made me take a good long look at that place that night, but I did, and what I saw scared me pretty bad. Standing there between the gate and some trees was what I took to be the Grim Reaper. There he stood, tall and menacing. You couldn't see his face, but the dark cloak that hid it was enough for me. My sister saw him too. Her boyfriend slammed on the brakes and we did a U-turn for a closer inspection. Of course, he wasn't there, so we headed on home. Not a word was spoken between us. That night, a couple of hours later, I lay in my bed trying to get to sleep, but I only succeeded in being able to stare at the ceiling. That's when I heard it. Scratch, scratch, on the window. I sat bolt upright. My first thought was that it was my sister's boyfriend. This was not a funny joke, but then I remembered he had to drive back to college that night. It couldn't be him. I told myself I was just imagining things. I laid back down, but not before turning on the closet light. It wasn't but a minute before it happened again, but this time it was more intense. Scratch, scratch. Before I could even think about it, I sprinted to my sister's room and jumped in the bed with her. The next morning I woke up feeling pretty stupid. It was all just a dream. At least that's what I thought until I walked into my room. My window was open, the screen tossed into the yard. My curtains were on the floor. The only other thing was my pillow. It looked like it had been torn in half, like it had been slashed with something long and sharp. I guess he had just decided he didn't want me that bad. And you know what? I'm not offended in the least. I don't know anything about the background of this photo. I saw it posted on Imager with no explanation, but I wanted to share it anyway. I know it's just smoke from his cigarette, but it's amazing how much it looks like a skull following him. The image could come right out of some sort of anti-smoking campaign. Could this amazing pareidolia be a portent of things to come for him? If anyone has any more information about his photo, please let me know in the comments. This strange photograph was posted to hauntedhovel.com by Amy Jones. She writes, "On the 18th of October 2009, me and a few friends went to a graveyard to snap some pictures for our ghost hunt, and this photo seemed only to be missed on the camera. Though when we got back to the house and uploaded it to the computer, we realised what it really was. I haven't done that since then. My mother passed away 9 days later. It scared me thinking I had dabbled into something I shouldn't have, or maybe it was a sign of some sort. You be the judge." What I find interesting about this picture is the similarity between it and the first picture in the video. Although they were taken in two different graveyards at completely different times, the entities look oddly similar. Perhaps this is some kind of hooded figure that only appears in cemeteries? If so, maybe that's where people get the image of the Grim Reaper from. So there we go, the Grim Reaper. Maybe not as fictional as I first assumed. To be honest, I would have liked to do a bit more research on the origins of the Reaper, but this week my doctor decided to put me on a whole load of tablets at the same time. So far they're having weird side effects, like making me extremely sleepy, but also making me itch all over my body. So I'm feeling the urge to sleep all the time, but I can't because of this constant itching. It's making it hard to concentrate on making videos, so this is the best you're going to get out of me this week, I'm afraid. But at least it'll keep me from meeting the Grim Reaper anytime soon, hopefully. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. I also want to give a shout out to my newest Patreon supporter, Roman Jones. Turns out he's working on this amazing dark sci-fi webcomic called Serious Engineering. He didn't ask me to mention it in the video or anything. I just thought I'd return the support in a small way. I hope you don't mind, Roman, me mentioning you like this. So, I'll put a link to his comic in the description. Please go check it out. Until next time, goodbye.